Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm running through an 8-team Superflex fantasy football mock draft. We want to help you win your draft to win your league. Let's get this fantasy football podcast started right meow. Hey guys, welcome back. This is the Upside Fantasy Football Podcast. This is Kyle. Justin's not here with me right now, but we are going to be running through a Superflex, 8-team Superflex fantasy football mock draft. That's right. It is, it's one of those weird ones, right? But if you're going to be playing an 8-team, you want a little more complication, I think, because then that forces things to occur that you wouldn't otherwise have in other leagues, deeper leagues, things you can't do in deeper leagues or even 12-man leagues, right? 8-team leagues, one of the nice things about them, there's a few, I suppose, is that you can do that. You can experiment. And a Superflex league, I've seen them done in 10, 12, 14. It's a little more fun, and I think it's almost a requirement in an 8-team league. We're just going to be doing standard scoring here today, though, so let me go ahead and switch over to our mock screen. Here we go. All right, so as you can see, I've already got set up the draft here. I've got it set up so that we've got standard scoring, 8 teams. We're going to randomize here for draft position, see what we get. We're going to go from the 7th spot. We've got 16 positions or 16 roster positions, 5 bench, and we've added in here that Superflex spot. So we're going to fill that one with a QB almost certainly, guys. There's pretty much no reason to do anything else. So let's go ahead and hit start your draft and get moving. All right, guys. Okay, so we are in the 7th spot here. Let's see what it does. All right, so we've already lost on the QB front here. We've already had the first 3 drop out there, right? We've lost Mahomes, Josh Allen, Kyler Murray. I don't have Lamar Jackson up there ahead of Dak Prescott personally. I think that Dak and Justin Herbert are the next 2 on my list, and then I'd probably put Aaron Rodgers next, right in that range, Russell Wilson right in that range, and Lamar Jackson right in that range together. So for me, the next 2 off the board should be Dak and Justin Herbert, and I think I actually prefer Herbert over Dak this year. It is a different offense, so it's a little hard to anticipate exactly what they're going to do, and that's my concern here. They do have a lot of deep threats, a lot of good receiving options, but so does Dallas. I think Dallas is going to have a bounce back year as long as they can keep Dak healthy and keep their line moving forward. Last year I think a lot of people forgot that they lost a couple linemen to retirement and other things, and that made them struggle for a little bit beyond the fact that they lost Dak. So I'm going to go ahead and take Dak here. I'm going to bet on him bouncing back and see what we get. All right, so I think that what we want to try to do here is, Lamar Jackson seems to have fallen as well. And we could go QB. I think that we'll sit on our second QB. It's not as critical. I treat that a little bit more like a single QB league. That's what I'm aiming to do here. And so I want to go and grab a running back. And with Dak right now, we could stack with Zeke. We could also go and grab Kamara. I have some concerns about Kamara this year. I think that he's going to have a little bit of trouble if Taysom Hill ends up at QB. I think it's going to be Jameis Winston in the end, but that's not the noise coming out of camp. Nick Chubb's sitting there too. And I do have Chubb ranked ahead of Elliott, but the opportunity to stack here is pretty nice. We've got Aaron Jones hanging out there, but I think I have those guys ahead of Jones. So I'm going to go with Elliott, just for the sheer chance to stack and get some passing TDs there, doubled down. All right, running back, thinned out a bit, and our number 4 wide receiver is available. And so he is a definite tier ahead of all of these wide receivers. Of all these running backs that are available. Let's see what's going on with running backs so we have a good idea of how it's thinning out a little bit. Because we're looking at possibly picking up our second running back in about 3 picks or so, maybe. We'll see if that's where we go. And I like a lot of the options that are a little bit further down the list, actually, over a few of these options that are a little higher ranked. I do like Eckler, so that is one that I would be passing on here to take a wide receiver. But I think I've got a lean wide receiver here, and I like Ridley a lot. I think it's a tad early to take him here, maybe just a tad. But you go get your guys. Let's see here. I think he's just a step ahead of a few of these guys, but these guys are all pretty solid. The variance between them is going to be pretty low, and we'll be sure to get at least one of those wide receivers. So I'm actually going to go ahead and grab Eckler here, ensure that I get a guy that I like at running back, and then I'm going to take what I can get at wide receiver because I'm fine with those four guys that were there. And look, Ridley's the only one that went off the board there. So he's the one I like the best, but I'm fine losing out on him and getting a solid second running back. I think I'm going to go with DK Metcalf here. Let's see what's happening over at tight end. Kittle and Waller are both still there. Tight ends, it's deep and it's not deep, right? It's always super deep and then everybody gets hurt. And so that's a tough one to invest high draft capital in my opinion, unless you're getting one of those top guys. It's a 4th round pick. It's not terrible to go and get one of those guys, but I'm not going to pay up, I don't think. I do like Waller a whole lot, so I think that's pretty good. To be able to grab him in the 4th round would not be terrible. It is an 8-team league, so you got to shift your thinking a little bit. I think that he's a slight reach in the 3rd round in standard leagues of like 10 to 12, but in an 8-man league, I think that's really early actually, still, to get him in the 4th. QB is thinned out quite a bit, but we're okay there. I'm going to go with DK Metcalf. That's who I prefer out of those top 3 that were sitting there, A.J. Brown and Justin Jefferson. All right. We could go back to wide receiver here. I do like Allen Robinson here, Mike Evans. You've got Julio hanging around, Amari Cooper. I don't think we want to. I don't know about that. I don't think we want to go 3 deep at the Dallas offense, even in an 8-man league. That could be pretty risky. If they just have a blown season, you're in trouble there. Running back. Let's see here. Where are we? So there's decent value at running back here. Miles Sanders, David Montgomery is one that I think out of the guys that are sitting here at the top, we've got Chris Carson, David Montgomery, Miles Sanders, and now Darrell Henderson's shooting up draft boards, obviously, right? Because Cam Akers is out for the season. Out of those guys, I prefer Montgomery. And I think, again, it's the same scenario as last round, where the wide receiver depth, there's several guys that I would take here. If there was no running back that was a viable alternative. And so I'm going to go ahead and take David Montgomery. I think that that's an appropriate pick here. And it allows us to come back at wide receiver. And we still have some value here. Miles Sanders is available and Chris Carson is available as well. I think Chris Carson's going to have a little bit better year this year. There are a few people I'm watching out there who are saying that they think Chris Carson's in for a surprising year for a lot of people. All right, so we are at, what do we have? We roughly picked 42 overall. Wide receiver is not terrible of an option here. We're in the 6th round. Waller just went off the board. I bet Kittle is gone as well. Yeah, so in my opinion, now it's time to wait. If we could have, here at the top of the 6th, grabbed Waller, then I would have done that. But instead, I think we're going to lean towards wide receiver, just double check the roster, see how we're building it. And we're deep at running back. We're pretty deep there, guys. And I like that. I think that that's a solid base. Wide receivers are hit and miss often, but one guy who's not is Allen Robinson. We like to call him the proof because he's the proof that you don't have to have a good QB to do well as a wide receiver. All right, running back. If we pick any running backs, we're looking at our bench spots right now. So I think we can sit tight on those guys. Other than, maybe you're a big fan of Henderson. I don't know. If you couldn't look, I don't think that the Rams are really huge fans of Henderson. I just don't. So I have concerns that they'll go and get a veteran signed off the street towards middle of camp, early into camp. At least they're going to kick the tires on a few guys and see what happens. Wide receivers still got a lot of value up at the top there. And then QB, we could go back here at the 7th round and grab a QB. Tannehill's not a bad option. I think that he's a lot better than people are giving him credit for. And if I'm looking at a lot of these guys here, I think I wouldn't be grabbing any of the other ones, if I could avoid it. And so I'm going to go ahead and grab Tannehill, and then we'll see what we can get at wide receiver and running back. I think that was pretty good, actually. We ended up getting a decent group to fall at wide receiver. And running back, I think that the value level's a little bit more appropriate. I am surprised to see Kareem Hunt, even in an 8-man league, to see him fall to the 8th round. Just on sheer principle, I might have to pick him, even though I think what I want to do is go grab our 3rd wide receiver. We're talking about the 8th round. We still haven't grabbed a wide receiver 3 or tight end. So, it's going to build weird. You're in an 8-man league. You're in Superflex. It's going to build out weird. You're going to have later picks just because there is that rush for QB up at the front. And I think we had a decent QB fall to us at the 7th pick there. But I think I'm going to go with wide receiver here. And I do like Kenny Golladay. I do like Cooper Kupp. Tyler Lockett is just always quietly solid. But we already have DK Metcalf, so we're going to pass on him. And we're going to go with, Cooper Kupp. Kenny Golladay stepping into a new offense, even as a premier kind of guy, that's a risk you don't see pan out all that often. Just look at DeAndre Hopkins last year, and you'll see that even the best guys, it takes a year, half a year roughly, to get it under their belt, figure it out. And then you've got guys like Amari Cooper, who also did that when he went to the Cowboys. It's a little tough. All right, let's see what's sitting at tight end. There's some really good value sitting here at tight end. So my assumption would be that a lot of QBs flew off the board at the expense of the tight ends hanging around. And gosh, Mark Andrews is just an unbelievable value at that point right there. That's huge. Wide receiver, we're starting to get a bit thinner. I like Deontay Johnson. I'm just not sure about that offensive line. The Steelers struggled last year. I didn't see them make a whole lot of improvement along that line, such that it makes me think that they're going to do a whole lot better. Running back, I think we could sit on that for a little bit. Let's go get that tight end here and grab Mark Andrews. I think he's the value pick here. Yep, they're throwing it up there saying that was a value pick. There you go. All right, so we've got that tight end where I like to draft only one tight end in scenarios where we're dealing with only one tight end starting. Obviously, we've got 2 flex positions, one being a super flex, but I don't see a tight end slotting in unless we had gotten somebody at the top 3, Kelsey, Kittle, and Waller. Unless we get one of those guys, there's no reason to draft a second tight end because you're going to be able to find somebody who's a viable drop-in player later on in the year. All right, here we go. Let's see. We've got some wide receivers available. Now, I usually like to try to balance my bench a bit, but we're looking at a 5-man bench, so it's going to be, 6 of one, half dozen of another, right? You would think, but it's not actually. It's going to end up being 3 and 2 probably that we're going to go with wide receiver or tight end, running back, not tight end. And we could grab Javonte Williams here. That's not terrible. But I think I'm going to go with somebody like Ayuk or Higgins, and I prefer Higgins actually. He showed a lot last year. It could just be that rookie luck, but that second-year bounce, we're looking for an improvement on something that was already really good. Ayuk is coming back from some injuries, a bit of a risk there. It's not terrible. All right, but then a guy that we do like who has a path to carries. Look, he's shooting up the board already here a little bit, guys, and that is Trey Sermon. He's going off. He's moving up the boards. So you pay attention to him. He's got a clear path to carries. The only complication he has is Raheem Mostert, who may not be available even week 1. He's just having trouble making it to the field right now. So what do we grab before? We grab T. Higgins. I think we come back and get this running back. And I do like Trey Sermon here. It is a reach. It's quite a bit of a reach, but let's see if we're passing over anything at wide receiver that's worth grabbing. If I grab him, I'll probably get a bunch of heat for passing on guys like Beckham and Sutton. And there's some good picks here. There's some really good picks. I think that what we'll do with it is I think we're going to go with OBJ. Look for that bounce back year. They got to get it right at some point, right? Maybe. I don't know. I think that Baker's a mediocre QB at best at this point. We'll see if he can get it figured out. Another thing to consider is that in a Superflex league, drafting 2 QBs may not be enough because, look, you've already got probably every team is going to have somebody off the board. Now, you're in an 8-man league. that's a little bit less risky to draft only the 2 QBs. If you're in a 12-man league and you're playing a Superflex, it would be my suggestion that you actually consider drafting a third QB. And the reason for that is that it gets thin. People aren't dropping QBs. People are not dropping QBs just because they're banged up for a week or something like that. Whereas they will do that with tight ends. So it is safe to just pick up with the 1 tight end. But with the 2 QBs starting, and you've got a 12-man league, there's 24 QBs already off the board. The difference between the first QB and the 24th QB, not that great. You start moving beyond that, and it starts to become a problem there, guys. So we're not in that scenario because we've got an 8-man league, and so I think it's between running back and wide receiver here for me. And I'm going to go ahead and grab, I'm going to grab DJ Chark actually here. It was between him and Robbie Anderson for me. I do like Robbie Anderson. I think that he's going to be solid. I think that he's a good target for Darnold. All right, let's see what we're looking at here. We've got 4 more picks to go through, and we have just stacked wide receiver, haven't we? Let's go attack running back now. Make sure that we have some decent players. I'm sure a bunch of them flew off the board. Not a whole lot, actually. A.J. Dillon's sitting there, and that's not a bad pick. I think that's actually a decent value here. Latavius Murray is sitting there as well. I like both of them. I think that A.J. Dillon has a clearer path to carries. Kenyon Drake, I'm not really sure what his role is going to be exactly this year. Zach Moss, at this point, I'm avoiding the Buffalo backfield. So for me, it's between Latavius Murray and A.J. Dillon, and I think it's got to be Dillon. I think Dillon is just going to step right into the Jamal Williams role. He's going to get about 30% of overall touches. And if Aaron Jones misses any time, A.J. Dillon is on a path to an RB2 season probably then. So that's a great grab in the 13th round. And here we are on the 14th. Let's go get another running back. And look, Latavius Murray fell down the board. Let's see if there's anything else, anybody else. Tony Pollard would be a good pick if we did not have Ezekiel Elliott. I don't usually back up or handcuff my own guys. I like to take the handcuffs of other players who are not there. I have my reasons for that, and 45 seconds on this pick isn't going to allow me to explain that to you. Madison's a good pickup. J.D. McKissick, if you're in a PPR situation, I think that's actually going to be very good this year. And I think Salvon Ahmed is going to actually have a lot more carry opportunity than people are giving him credit for. And so for him to be that far down the board I think that's wrong. And I think you could go and grab him. But let's go ahead and reach and grab Latavius Murray. It's a tad bit of a reach, not terrible. And there, of course. There we go. Latavius Murray, and let's go grab kicker and defense. I think kicker is one that I'll wait on this year because I think that the rankings that are out there for everybody I don't know what they're based on. I think they're based on mostly name, cachet, some level of consistency, but if you check out our consistency rankings over on our website, ffbupside.com, you're going to see actually that guys like Jason Sanders and Rodrigo Blankenship were actually a lot better than a lot of these other guys who have the name going for them, right? 49ers, decent defense. They were hurt a whole lot last year. I don't know if that secondary is any better without Richard Sherman. And then we've got Saints are pretty good defense, but I think we'll just stick with that one. 49ers. I think the Dolphins are actually going to be better. I mean, it's a defensive coach. I would hope that they would be better this year. And we're going to go with, we'll take Butker, I think, just because I think there's a lot of opportunity for scoring in that offense. The one that I want to point out here is Jason Sanders, though. He was actually number one in our power rankings last year, and that power rankings considers a lot of factors. Consistency across weeks for the whole season, as well as how many times he finished as a startable kicker, meaning in the top 12, how many times he finished as an elite kicker in the top 6, how many times he busted for you and didn't finish in the top 18, that sort of stuff. It incorporates all kinds of things into it, and he ended up as our number one best kicker. But I'm going to go ahead and grab Butker just because I think that offense is going to come back with a vengeance this year. And kickers usually, they benefit from an offense that is scoring a whole heck of a lot. So that's where we're going to go with it, guys. They gave us a C-. It is what it is. Fantasy Pros has different rankings than we do, and I like our rankings. I think they're pretty good, and we think we've spotted a lot of value for you. We did it last year, And so we're hoping to bring a lot of that value to you this year, where you're able to draft guys who are further down the board before anybody else even realizes that they've missed out. So that's going to do it for this mock draft. I'll catch you guys on the next one. See ya. Bye.